more than doubled my salary by switching to a job in tech with no experience twice. And today, I want to help somebody do the same. Hey loved ones, my name is Sonia Star J and this is Fully Loving Yourself. If you are new here, welcome. And if you're a returner, welcome back. Okay, so we have started our new series, Wealthy Wellness, where we are focusing on money, mindset, and how it all ties into our self-care. So I know y'all seen the prices of groceries and the price of rent and the price of everything else in the world right now. And I know y'all have seen all of these layoffs that are happening all over the country. So I just wanted to share my experience of how I got a job in tech with no experience, doubling my salary, actually more than doubling my salary. So let's get into it. A bit of a background on me. I got my bachelor's in sociology with a minor in psychology. And I also did internships while I was in school as well. But once I graduated from college, all of my experience was in nonprofit and social services. So I was a caseworker, I was a residential counselor, and I wasn't making a lot of money at all. I worked with foster care, I worked with mental health, I worked with rehabilitation and homelessness. And those are all things that I've always truly been passionate about, and sometimes I do still miss doing mission-driven work. But the fact of the matter is it don't pay all the time. But at that point of my life, the money really didn't faze me. I loved the work that I did. I loved my teams, and I loved my kids and the people that I served in the community. So at the time in my early 20s, I never even really considered getting or having a higher paying job. I thought that the money that I was making was just the amount of money that I could make. And so I just made the decision to get multiple jobs instead of thinking like, hey, get a different job to increase your salary. That wasn't something that I ever thought about. And so there's just a whole nother piece of the conversation around healing your money mindset that we need to talk about in a later video. But I just assumed that if I worked hard, the money would come and my bills was paid, and that's all that I really cared about. After time, I started to notice that my hard work was not correlating to how much I was bringing home. Like no matter how hard I went at my job, no matter how much I cared, no matter how much I hustled, after benefits and taxes came out, I was scraping pennies just to stay afloat. I did go back to school to become a massage therapist. So at that point then, I was working my full-time job plus a part-time job plus a side hustle. And it wasn't until I noticed that my coworker who got hired after me was making more than me, and I had been there for years. That's when I started questioning things. And I knew that as much as I love my job, as much as I love my kids, it was gonna be time for me to go eventually. So I did. So how did I transition out of social services into tech? I'm glad you asked. So the first thing that I did was I took a personalities test. I took the Myers-Briggs 16 personalities test, and the reason why I did that was so that I could see what jobs might fit me. That's actually how I even knew that I'd be good as a massage therapist, because I am an INFP, which is an introverted something. I'll put it on the screen because I can't remember off the top of my head what it is right now, but I knew that I was an introvert. And the Myers-Briggs test will show you the other type of people that you're compatible with. It'll show you the type of careers that you should look into. It is a really good resource into learning more about yourself. So if you're somebody who's unsure about the type of job that you want to go into, that might be a good place for you to start. And the second thing that I did was I took the time to determine how much I needed to make to thrive and not just survive. I wanted to make enough to where I could take a vacation or I could afford to pour into my self-care and not just pay my bills. I wanted to have something left over at the end of the month. So I got that number and I wrote it down on a note card, and then I taped it on my affirmation wall so that I could see that all the time and read that to myself. I'm gonna have a job that pays me X amount of dollars, and I was very intentional about the type of job that I wanted as well. So I wrote down the type of work environment that I wanted to be in, the type of office that I wanted, the type of management I wanted to work for. if I was going to go and leave a job that I love, I at least wanted to go to a job that I could tolerate, that I liked, and that paid me enough to where I didn't have to work 2 and 3 jobs. And this meant stepping completely out of my comfort zone, because I've been a nonprofit doing client-facing, mission-driven work since I got out of college. So then I sought out somebody to redo my resume. I went into one of my networking groups on Facebook and I asked somebody if they could review my resume. And the lady who reviewed my resume not only reviewed it, she tore it apart and put it back together and created this masterpiece that has helped me to get jobs. Just, oh my goodness, what she did to my resume was amazing, because I have been able to land 2 really good high-paying jobs since then. So once I had somebody redo my resume, I just continued to reuse that same resume template and just plugged in different keywords and just aligned my resume to the job that I was applying for. So I started doing research on how to optimize your resume and how to lean into my transferable skills. So I started applying for new jobs in January of 2022, and by April of 2022, I had a new job as a digital marketing strategist. And this is what I did. I leveraged my experience as a content creator. Now, I'd only been creating content for like 6 months on YouTube, but the way that I worded things on my resume was attractive enough for it to, one, get through their ATS, their automatic tracking system, and then get it in front of a person, because I had keywords like SEO, graphic design, Canva, all of those things that I used on YouTube, I used to help me get this digital marketing job. So I got hired as a content strategist at a digital marketing agency. I was working with people who had degrees in digital marketing, who had certificates, SEO specialists. I had none of the above. I literally learned on the job. And I always tell people, apply for that job. They're going to train you when you get there. And then I just, what the young people say, I rizzed my way through the interview. And I just, I leaned on my personality and I got through the interview, and it was between me and somebody else who currently worked at the company. But they chose me, and that person ended up going to a different role in the company. So I ended up getting the job as a content strategist, and that is when I increased my salary by 58% in 6 months. Listen, I had never seen that much money coming from one job. And I was like, well, wait, if I could do this, then I could make more. And so there were some issues at that company, and I just wasn't feeling it. And I also didn't have benefits. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to leave and go find something that's more aligned with who I am and what I want to do. And I also didn't like working remote. So I started applying for jobs again. Now, I started applying for jobs in September of 2022. Now, I had found that job on Indeed. So when I decided that I wanted to start looking for another job in September of 2022, I was applying everywhere. I tried ZipRecruiter, LinkedIn, Indeed, and that was in September of 2022, and I ended up getting hired as an HR manager in tech with no experience in November of 2022. And that is currently what I do now. And I increased my salary again by another 10K by negotiating my pay rate and using, again, my transferable skills. Now, what I did with that was I leaned on my experience as a case manager and dealing with people in the interview, because I'm a people person. I'm good at project management. I'm good at organizing, sort of. But for the most part, I'm good with people. And when you're good with people and you're good at being client facing, and you know how to deal with other people's emotions and things like that, you have the skills that can transfer into different roles if you really think about it. And in this day and age, you can use AI to help you to determine which kind of roles you might be a good fit for. Go in ChatGPT, tell ChatGPT the type of experience that you have and what it is that you're trying to get into, and it will give you a list of different roles that you could potentially start applying for today. And again, with my job in HR, no, I did not have any experience in human resources whatsoever. And when I got there, I was trained on the job. I watched YouTube videos on different things that I needed to be successful. I joined different groups on LinkedIn and on Facebook to help me be successful. I started networking with people who worked in HR for long periods of time to set myself up for success. Now, where can you find jobs? Now, the first job that I got in tech, I found on Indeed. The second job that I got in tech, I found on ZipRecruiter. And now two platforms that I think people need to know more about are Auto.com and Builtin.com. They have high-paying remote jobs and hybrid jobs in tech, and people don't really know about these platforms. So I pray that somebody watching this video picks up that little piece of nugget of information so that you can start making you some coins. And if you don't have a degree and you want to get into a higher paying job in tech, you can take some courses. You can take free courses on Udemy, and Harvard even has some free courses that you can take to help you get into another field. You just have to do the work on the front end to determine what you would even be good at in the first place. Even if you only have retail experience, you can get a job in tech and customer service. And another thing I think that people don't think about is tech is not just coding. Tech is not just software engineer. There are so many different roles and titles that you can hold in tech and actually make good money. Like a customer success manager, if you have management experience, you have people experience, go apply for one of these customer service jobs. The money's out here, the opportunities out here. I pray that this was encouraging to somebody. I know everybody wants to be a content creator, but 9-to-5s are still cool. And they pay really good and consistently. It's always good to have something else that you can fall back on, like a side hustle, but you can make really good money at a 9-to-5 that's consistent and reliable until it's not. I'm praying for everybody who's been affected by these layoffs and by inflation. And I hope and pray that you are all able to find something that is aligned with your values and aligned with just who you are as a person. So that concludes this video in our Wealthy Wellness series. If this video added any value to you, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel if you'd like, and check out the rest of our Wealthy Wellness series. Let me know if y'all want to continue to have more talks like this, or what other things you are interested in knowing from me about my journey, or just things that I've learned over time in general, because these are things that I actually did have to teach my young people when I was a case manager. So it's just interesting now that I have the opportunity to have this platform to share all of these things with you all too. So even though I had to leave my mission-driven job, I still get to serve people and serve the community in a way that comes natural to me. And so I'm just very grateful for the opportunity. Anyway, I'm grateful for you all. Appreciate you, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.